Alrighty, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm James here back with another quick movie review, and this is one of my favorite films, of course, that I watched throughout high school. Of course, the beginning of it was The Outsiders, but this is like the flip coin of it. This one's directed by Walter Hill, called The Warriors, and it's actually a 1979 cult classic film, and it's pretty much a story about a gang trying to get home. I'm gonna start off with the cast, talk about the story and all that good stuff. So it stars Michael Beck, James Remar, David Patrick Kelly. I can't remember the guy's name that played Cyrus. I think his name was Roger Hill. He's a very known, New York actor. And David Harris. So pretty much the story is about a lot of gangs in New York, coming together, run by the Gramercy Riffs, which is the Roger Hill character I talked about with Cyrus, and um, pretty much this is very smart of how I like how the guy pitched this because this goes into politics even today. But in the story, uh, Cyrus was pretty much saying, or he was trying to unite all the gangs in New York. And I think he even said that there were other affiliates, and he said like there are 60,000 heavy soldiers, unorganized but ready to fight. And what he was saying that we have to keep up the general truce, and bit by bit we can come together and overthrow the New York City and really run it. And to be honest, it sounds a little bit like prison too, because I know that's what the guards, in prison kind of feed on. They keep people divided so they can have more control, you know. But I bet your prisoners knew that they can like lead up together despite of how, they got racial differences or this, that, and the other. A few of them run prisons anyway. That's pretty much how, that part of New York was gonna be. The gangs were gonna run it. And in this movie, out of any gang picture I've seen, they had more than 10 gangs in this film. And if you see the script, it was a whole list because the art department or the lady that was in the art department had to come up with different logos and patches for it. And even off the top of my head, only ones I really know of are the Baseball Furies, which is like the next famous one next to the Warriors, and of course the Gramercy Riffs. You had the Punks, the Boppers, the Electric Eliminators, the Jones Street Boys. Um, who else? I know I'm missing out another set. The Orphans, the Lizzies, the Rogues, and those are just like what 10 or 8 I just numbered. But if you play the video game, they had more of them on there, and even they expanded. The story was a lot bigger too. It had what happened to like a year prior, leading up to the events of the movie. But this movie is pretty much about 9 guys trying to get home because right after Cyrus is killed, you one of the warrior scouts saw who did it and then tried to say that they had did it just because he had witnessed them. And you know throughout the whole movie is a bounty on their head. And they're just trying to get back to to Coney Island. And from, I don't know how far Manhattan is to Coney Island, but anyone that is from New York, you can tell me how far it is, and I bet it pretty is far. But that's pretty much the whole thing of the premise of the movie. Um, the nice philosophical message, of course, is if we all come together, we can really scare the elites. And with throwing a little bit of a historical context, that's one of the reasons why the FBI was afraid of the Black Panthers back in the 60s, because even J. Edgar Hoover has said, the one thing that scared him the most was black unity. But, it wasn't just black unity he had to be afraid of. Some of the Black Panthers were actually working with other groups. I know some of the white hippies they were cool with, and some of the ones in the Asian communities who were also experiencing prejudice. But it wasn't it wasn't systematically that bad because the Asians they were tactful at how they did things. Even but I know one lady in particular saying about, Chinese restaurants and other businesses, and even she's Asian. She was stating that even that had a racist history behind it. But pretty much it's just, it's the same political rift that's going on, today, because with our current political, climate with, the liberals and the Democrats and the progressives, the messed up thing is that, the elites are really trying to get, people to divide it. I'm not going to name one guy in particular because it was kind of going on before he even got into office, but, it was just a bad symptom that made it worse, currently now. But overall, I'm gonna go to the other facts in the movie in a minute, but just to take in a correlation, and even gangs know this, and individual people, you really have to check yourself before you want to, go out and take anything else. And even if you played a video game, even Cleon, one of the leaders, that's what he even said, we have to take our own turf first and then branch out and do connections. Yeah, you can't be all over the place. It's the same thing running corporations, and even what I'm doing now, with my comic book stuff. It's, I wanted to do big things, but then even I said to myself, and I heard from other people, sometimes you have to take a step back. Yeah, do some of the things that you don't want to do in order to get where you want to be. And, I'm very happy for it, but at the same time, I'm kind of pissed because it took me that long to figure it out. But I didn't have any mentors on that department to really guide me. So, but going back to the movie, I was really introduced to this movie through the video game, and that wasn't the only movie either. I know GoldenEye, I was introduced to the game first, then I went and saw the movie, and I think Indiana Jones as well. I played the game first, and I went back and I saw the movie. But overall, the real origins of this piece, it came from a novel. And the novel, of course, the novel and the movie are a lot different. It's not like The Outsiders where they cut certain things. It's more like, for one, the content that was in there, and two, even the name of the warriors. I think they were called the Coney Island Dominators. But in the book, it was very, very, raunchy. It was very realistic to what gangs in the 60s in New York had did, or street gangs, I should say. And one thing in particular, the female protagonist of Mercy, that intercepted them at one point in the movie, even though they had talked about it, because she kept bugging the warriors in the book, they actually ran a train on her, like straight up. And I was like, okay, you're being chased and all this and that, and now I kind of want to read the book to see how did that really happen, because something's telling me with the book, it's not like the movie. I think with the book, with the whole scenario of them being chased, I think it had some few chapters or a few beats that pretty much like the game, stuff that happened that led up to that point that carried the weight of the rest of the story. But pretty much if you played a video game, it gave a lot more story. And it was kind of funny because the game came out in 2005. This movie came out in 79, and Rockstar had did it, and it kind of revitalized the Warriors a little bit. I heard rumors that they were going to do a remake, but I really don't have that much faith in it anymore. I heard that John Amos was supposed to play Cyrus, but now since he's getting older, I don't know if that was going to happen. And I think they said the story was going to be in LA and it was going to be in modern times. But when I went to like Dragon Con and a few of these cons, I know they had some of their action figures and they were running for a lot of money. And of course I was tempted to buy some, but I was like, nah, and they are, really, rare. But pretty much only like 2 or 3 actors from this movie went on to do big things. James Remar, that played Ajax, who got arrested, he's a known big star now. I think the last project I seen him on was like Black Lightning, but he's been in a few of Tarantino's films. He was in Mortal Kombat Annihilation. His face is like recognizable. And David Harris, I know he did I saw another film he did with Denzel Washington. It was called Soldier Story, and that had a lot of stars in it too. And of course, David Patrick Kelly that played Luther. Spike Lee, he's cast in a lot of Spike Lee films. He was that racist teacher in Malcolm X, and he was, if you've seen Chirac, he was that military lieutenant guy. But he's a very good actor. You know, seeing him in this, he looks so young. And another movie he was in, I also remember him in is Crooklyn. He was the neighbor, you know, that was having trash being thrown in his side of the stoop. But that's pretty much all I have to say. Oh, another iconic thing in character, and forgive me for this because I knew who she was because I grew up watching Carmen Sandiego, and I think she was on there. But one of the iconic things, another iconic thing out of this movie was the DJ, and only her lips were being shown. And the only movie where I've seen where that was really used, it was in Tarantino's Pulp Fiction, where Mia was introduced and she was talking to Vincent, and you know the introduction shot was her talking over the mic. But the only difference, of course, we saw Mia's face. You never see the DJ's face, you know, in this picture. But you know, at least I think I don't know if it's a Mandela effect or not, but I remember seeing her on one of those kid shows back in the 90s, and I remember her voice. She had a very unique, distinctive, you know, voice. And, you know, if she was still alive, of course, it would have been like one of those iconic voices like James Earl Jones or Michael Clark Duncan, you know. So, you know, that's pretty much how I feel about it. You know, that's my, you know, criticism. But, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. As usual, like, comment, and, you know, subscribe. Again, the open box to the comment section, and I will talk to you folks later. Peace.